business of life.
The steps necessary in order to just even embark on a large visual effects film, the first thing you do, you read the script and break the script down, making a lot of notes. Anytime you see something that looks like a visual effects related, you pull it out. You do a large breakdown of the shots on a sequence basis. The big production meetings come out of breaking the script down, and then everyone has their delegated area of expertise and who does what, whether the whispercraft is then the practical mock-up or whether it turns into CG, all comes out of a series of production meetings.
It's always difficult to do those scenes, because you're acting against the blue screen and you're playing with your, you're supposed to have you, the clone, next to you, but in the meantime there's no one there, so you do this whole scene. If that is not human, I don't know what is. If there's no one there, it goes this whole thing. And now you then change positions. You go on the other side and you talk back, and then you put those two elements together. And that's basically, what you do. And many times it gets very technical because you're crossing the two bodies and you're hugging each other, you're touching each other. Then it becomes very racy. So it takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. And you have to adjust that you're not really acting towards anyone. You just have to imagine there's another one of you there arguing with you or talking with you.
The simplest form of a cloning shot involves what's called a split screen. And that's essentially taking two photographs and finding a line down the middle that the two could be joined together. So, for instance, you would shoot Arnold or Adam on one side of the frame and then have him step to the other side of the frame and shoot another picture and just make a line that's common to the two pictures down the middle, and that becomes a seamless split screen. They can become more complex by virtue of a camera move, for instance, and if that's the case, then we would use what's called a motion control system or a motion controlled camera to program a camera move and to duplicate its move as a playback.
Motion control is a computerized camera system that can precisely repeat the different axes of camera movement. There's tilt, there's pan, there's zoom, and there's dolly. So all of these different axes of movement with the camera can be exactly programmed. You can run it through its paces, you can zoom in, frame it, and it hits its marks, and then you can go and do another pass, say against blue screen or with another actor, as we're doing with our cloning shots with Arnold, and repeat the exact same camera movement down to the millimeter of exactness and replay that exact camera movement and get a second pass on film.
You shouldn't be talking. The mess you left trying to fix your garage. You saw me working in a garage? Saw you? I nearly shot you.
Since I originally was going to work on about 40 or 50 shots, which quickly expanded to about 200 shots, they included what we call morphs, where the cloning process is taking place, and you can see transitions of, say, of a clone growing, which is real interesting. There's also a mall shot we did, which is kind of unique, a futuristic mall that has a CG train running through it, and kind of a special treatment for the ceiling that looks like a futuristic mall. There's also a really nice CG shot of or a building extension of replacement technologies that takes place from a helicopter point of view, where we first see the building. It had to be adapted to look like the original designs of the set. This is one of our what we call the dock sequence. It takes place at the end of the movie, where they're basically saying goodbye to each other, and we did a interesting shot, which was all a large boom crane that comes up and over a helicopter and then comes on into the two characters. Well, there wasn't a way to do this with motion control because of the large movement of the camera, so we put a a green sock on the head of the stand-in double with the idea that we would have Arnold come back, shoot a green screen, and literally track his head on top of the character who was standing next to him. So a few technical things that had to be accomplished was the actual rate of tilt that the boom camera comes down. All that information was gathered on the set the day we did the first plate, and you take that into account when you recreate it.
Well, the visual effects on the sixth day started out in the conceptual pre-production phase as a 200-shot visual effects film, which since some of the other films I worked on were very large, I thought, well, that's great. That just sounds really cozy and comfortable. 200 shots, perfect. And you know, as shooting went on and ideas grew and sequences were more fleshed out, it grew into, at one point, up to 700 visual effects shots. So that's a considerable increase in resources and human resources, you know, equipment resources, computers, all the way around.
We started off with 300 special effects, and that somehow grew to 4, and then while we were shooting, or when we weren't looking, it somehow got to 600, and I think we've gone past 600, so it's a lot. And we just found lots of different ways of enhancing things and enriching them and making it more interesting. And we had a shopping mall, and we ended up putting fish in it, and we added a train because that seemed more fun, and we just improved things as we went along, so the number of shots grew.
Really what I found was visual effects is an extension of the camera department. It's taking a frame of film and looking through a camera and really having an unlimited and infinite possibilities to put into that frame. And so really I look at it very much from a camera perspective and saying, you know, it's like looking through a camera, but it's fantastical. It's like your sky's the limit, and your imagination is really is not hindered by anything of this world that's tangible.